Hello and welcome to another episode of the Fresh Perspectives podcast. My name's Rachel Lauren, and I'm so excited to be chatting with you today. Happy Monday. Monday is one of my favorite days of the week. I love that feeling of having a clean slate. I love feeling super motivated and excited for the week ahead. It's actually one of the reasons I decided to publish my podcast on Mondays, to give you some inspiration and excitement to start your week off. And if you're listening to this podcast on your way to work this week, I would say that's great, because today's episode is a bit of career advice that I got from attending an industry event a few months ago. So back before the new year, I had the privilege of attending the American Advertising Federation's gala for their new Hall of Fame inductees. This is an event in marketing that's pretty significant. It almost felt like the Oscars of marketing, if you will. So each year, the American Advertising Federation inducts 8 new people into their Hall of Fame. And these are 8 people who are really making such significant impact in the industry. This was my first time attending the event, and I totally didn't know what to expect. I always welcome the opportunity to engage with the larger advertising community. I love networking and meeting new people. And what I didn't expect was how glamorous this evening was. There was dramatic lighting, there were flower bouquets, there were chandeliers, people were wearing gowns and tuxes. It was really, really a beautiful and a really special event. What I came to learn is that each of these new 8 inductees into the Hall of Fame had 2 things that surrounded their induction. The first was a hype video that was made about them to introduce them to the crowd before they got onto the stage. And this video was made by their family, friends, coworkers, and said super kind words about them and why they have made such an impact on the industry. And the second thing was they had to get up in front of all of the attendees and give a speech. They were 2.5 hours of speeches, but everyone was such a captivating speaker, and I took away so many interesting and impactful tidbits from their speeches. And I decided to do this episode because as I was listening and jotting down notes, I heard commonalities across all 8 speeches. And these were from people who've reached the top of their field. It even included supermodel and body advocate Ashley Graham. And to see that they were all touching on similar themes made me think, okay, there's some really interesting things to take away. And I don't want to keep all that information to myself. So today's episode will be the 4 biggest lessons that I learned from people who are at the top of their field about what it really takes to accelerate in your career. And trust me, number 2 is something that might be holding you back from your next promotion without you even realizing it. The first common thread in every speech was this: a pioneering spirit. These inductees didn't just succeed in the jobs that they were doing. Many of them actually created totally new jobs and new verticals and new lanes within the entire industry. They saw something that was cool, that was happening, that wasn't clearly defined yet. And instead of waiting for someone to hand them a playbook, they just dove in. One woman talked about being a department of one, literally just her. She was working on something that no one else understood yet. Today, that department has grown significantly, and there's even entire conferences on that one thing that she was pioneering. So that one topic alone now makes up a huge part of our industry, and she was the first to do it. How cool. In a time where technology, AI, and media are changing at such rapid speeds, it takes courage to say, this seems interesting. I don't know everything about this yet, but I do really want to explore it. And this is a conversation that you can have with a boss or a manager or a mentor But I would encourage you, when something sparks that curiosity within you at your job, even if nobody else is talking about it yet, or if everyone's talking about it but nobody fully understands what it means, being brave enough to follow that curiosity can lead to so many new opportunities. So you can learn on your own, get curious, and experiment. When something is totally brand new, no one's going to hand you a map. You have to be the one to draw that map, honestly. And when you do, you can shape an entirely new career or an entirely new department, which is so exciting. The second commonality is one I think can make the biggest impact on your career. If you haven't been promoted in a while, this might be why. You might be so qualified, you might be doing everything right. On paper, you're a shoo-in for a promotion. But you might not be surrounding yourself with people who are genuinely championing you. Every single inductee into the Hall of Fame said that they would not be where they are today without people who saw their potential. Sometimes before they even saw their own potential. And this is huge because here's the truth. You can be incredible at your job. I'm sure you are. I'm sure you're such a hard worker, you're creative, you're inquisitive, you always deliver. But if you're not surrounded by leaders and colleagues who are advocating for you in rooms that you're not in, or even worse, people who are actively trying to keep you small, you will not reach your full potential at that organization. Even more so, being around those people that champion you will allow you to reach even further than you thought possible. They're going to pull you into those new opportunities. They're going to challenge you with bigger responsibilities, and they're going to introduce you to people who can change your entire career. This is why when I mentor college students, I tell them that who their boss is an extremely important part of if they choose to accept a job offer or not. When you're interviewing, you should feel inspired by the people that you're talking with. And you should ask yourself, are these the kinds of people that are going to make me grow? Your environment can either elevate or shrink you. It's very important that you choose your next career move intentionally. The third theme that everyone mentioned in their speeches was fear. At some point in their careers, every inductee faced a moment when they were scared. One woman left a streaming platform to join a linear TV network, and she obviously didn't know as much about linear TV. Another, like I said, started that entire department with no blueprint. And Ashley Graham kept showing up to casting after being torn down again and again. Fear is unavoidable. But what separates the people who rise to the top is that they feel scared and act anyway. In your career and your life, there will be these big, scary, opportunistic moments. It's so important that when a moment like this comes about, that you sit with yourself and you question your fear. And you ask, am I scared because I'm not capable? Or am I scared because this is miles outside of my comfort zone and is going to require me to stretch? It's so important that at this inflection point, if the answer is I'm scared because it's out of my comfort zone, that you say yes. It will be uncomfortable and new and scary, but it's also going to lead to so much growth. And here's the truth. Growth never happens in your comfort zone. On the other side of fear is a new version of yourself. You have to say yes to that opportunity in order to get that opportunity to meet that new version of yourself. And the last thing that all speeches had in common was the one that warmed my heart the most. And that was that every single inductee took several minutes to thank their families, their parents, their partners, their kids. Many said that their children were their why. Others credited their parents with instilling the work ethic and creativity that shaped their careers. A lot of them were working parents, and hearing them acknowledge both the difficulty and the beauty of balancing ambition with family was really moving. It was a reminder to me that while our careers are important and be fulfilling and exciting, the people we love and the people that love us are what really matter. They're the ones who ground us, they support us, and they remind us who we are outside of those job titles. As a woman in the industry, hearing that message from such successful women was really impactful. So there you have it, the 4 biggest learnings from 8 people who are reaching the top of their career. To recap, here are those 4 things that all of them had in common. They all had a pioneering spirit. They all made a point to emphasize surrounding yourself with people that champion you. They all had big, scary decisions to make in life and said yes. And they all said that family was so important. If 8 of the most successful people in my industry are all saying the same things, I think it's worth listening to. And maybe one of these things will be that shift that you needed in your career. I'm Rachel Lauren, and this has been another episode of the Fresh Perspectives podcast. I'd love to hear what you thought of this week's episode, as well as hear any ideas that you might have for future episodes. You can find the pod on Instagram at Fresh Perspectives Pod, and I can't wait to hear from you. I hope you have a great week. Thanks for listening, and I'll speak to you soon.